What is going on, everybody? What is going on? We are back with another episode of Hot Takes, where we are always seeking to lead with humility, openness, and transparency. I am Lawrence Henderson, President, Chief Learning Officer of Boss Consulting,
Boss.
and I am here again with my amazing Chief Instructional Designer of Boss, the real Boss, Gepre Henderson. How goes it, Gepre?
Hey, Lawrence, how are you? It's so
Everything's
weird doing this podcast knowing that we're in the same house but in different rooms.
You know what? We doing what we got to do. That's what it's
Yeah,
all about. Plus, we're changing angles and all the rest of those things and the graphics. That's what you do with podcasts. You just play with things and then figure out what works.
sounds good.
All right.
Ready to get started?
I am ready to get started. And so today we are going through, we told you all in the first episode, we're going to be going through these episodes with me and Gepre using the 7 habits of highly effective people. We started with habit 1 last time, where we defined what being proactive is all about. And Gepre, before we get started with habit 2 today, can you please remind the people what a habit actually is?
Absolutely. So we talked about habits being the intersection between your knowledge, your skill, and your desire. So what you know, what you want to do, how you want to do it, and then the motivation behind doing all of those things.
Yeah, and again, some of the things, the highlights from last time, outside of Japri finding out if she didn't take care of business, she would be fired. We made sure that understanding that being proactive is really, again, understanding what things to take action on, but then knowing your things. And this habit, begin with the end in mind. Start with a quote here. It's like, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And Oliver Wendell Holmes said that quote. But if you think about this, just a statement, begin with the end in mind, Japri, what does that communicate to you?
To really start with a clear understanding of where I want to end up. What is my destination? So thinking about why thinking about the end is so important. It made me go back and think about the whole process of going back to school. And at the beginning, it's really tedious because you have to select your classes and determine when you're going to take a particular class. Why? Because I want to graduate at a particular time. And so same thing with a business plan. What are your business goals? Well, let's look at that and then let's backtrack. Same thing for those educators out there. We do the backwards design. What is the end goal? Where do we want our students to be? What do we want them to learn? And then you take a step back and start planning out those steps so that you can arrive at that destination.
Yeah, that's so clear. And if I had to add anything to that amazing explanation, it would be the beginning with the end in mind is about you having a picture of what you want those things to look like, and begin to understand the paradigm of how you're going to use things as a frame of reference, or begin to put things in criteria, so that you can examine along the way, right? Beginning with the end in mind is saying that you actually know or have an idea of what that thing is you want it to look like, but then begin putting plans and things in place so you could begin ticking off marks on the way there. And so this one, I believe, is amazing, again, for the month of January, right? Here we are, the 3rd week of January. I don't know about y'all. January used to feel like it was dragging, but y'all, it's the last week of January next week. And so we are flying through because we as an organization, as Boss, we know we had this conversation about, okay, what is our mission? What is our vision at the top of the year? And one of the things that I love that, I am now opening myself to is allowing people to help me with that mission for us. And Japri, being the expert wordsmith and idea connection, big picture, she was like, when she saw my mission, she was like, all right, I have some recommendations for us to look bigger. And in the mission we came out with is, Boss is going to provide comprehensive coaching, training, and speaking support to clients who are seeking personal and professional development services. That's that mission, right?
Mhm.
We're beginning with that overarching picture, but then what does it look like? It looks like us being and leading by being a trusted partner in that coaching and training space, because we identify who our clients are and what their needs are. And so when you think about just navigating through these elements of beginning with the end in mind for you, Japri, as an instructional designer, like what's the most important thing that you're doing currently to stay focused on that long range goal?
Mm. So my truth is that a lot of times I get an idea, I get many ideas, and I just want to hit the ground and start running. Or I actually start on a task or multiple tasks, and then I have a habit of not completing it. And so what I'm trying to um, do differently is look at the end goal, and then figure out those smaller steps that I need to take. And so I know now that I'm working with you, the bar has been raised, because I get it from you being my boss, and then I get it from you being my husband. And so what I need to do is focus on, again, every thinking about the steps that I'm taking, making sure that it aligns with the mission of boss. Um, Having those one-on-one conversations to check in and say, hey, Lawrence, this is what I'm working on. um can I get your feedback to make sure that I'm staying on course, because I know you have this bigger picture in mind. And so I know as we expand, we try to bring people on as well who can connect or have a passion about what we're doing, so we can make it easier as we try to reach our destination in this entrepreneur journey.
I like that because it's funny as we connect the dots of the habits. Habit one, if it can be have a theme, habit one says as being you're being proactive. That's the I'm the programmer. And
Mhm.
now habit two says we're writing the program. And one
Right.
of the things that I love about Chapri's process of synthesizing information and all the rest of those keeping me on track, because I want to begin with the end in mind. Like I'm that person. I want to stay at habit two, and kind of go there. But when she communicates with me, it's okay. I'm your programmer, and then let me walk you through the process of how we're writing this plan to get to that vision.
Mhm.
And that's the thing that I need, that, and I believe we all need in our life. And as you think about it, put in the chat, who's your person? Who's your person who's helping you write the program? You got the big picture, you see it out there, but who's your person that helps you be grounded through conversation, through good questions? And the fact that now Japri, I didn't know she was doing it early in our relationship, but she was
What?
actually coaching me early. Before she was ever a certified professional coach, she was coaching me early. I just wasn't coachable. But now that I'm coachable, I'm still working through just this. I like to see the genius in the way she processes information. And now, like you said, bringing other people on board with us to say, hey, yes, you see the big picture, but let us help you map it out of how we're going to get there, because that's important. Because we all believe we need, well, I believe we need people to support us along this journey. And Brother Kinston always says it like this: if we're doing life alone, we're doing it all wrong. Well, I tell you, if you're a business owner and you're doing all the things yourself, you're doing it all wrong. And so bringing in people to support you and making
Mhm.
sure that you begin with the end in mind, they can
Yeah,
help
but
fill in those gaps. Go ahead.
and let's talk relationships. Same thing with
Yeah.
our marriage. Of course, we want a successful marriage. 18 years in, going on 19 years in May. And so there were some moments where we had to fine tune, we had to take a step back, we had to come up with a new strategy, or Lawrence was not going to be here. Like there would have been no boss had he not come to his senses. But it would have been foolish not to slow down and say, okay, we have to come together, we have to collaborate, we have to be a team and move as one if our long goal is to still be married, years down the road. So I just wanted to throw that in there because
Yeah.
this whole working relationship, there's, a lot of curveballs that are
Yeah.
thrown in this scenario. I'm sure with other people who are in similar situations or relationships.
Yeah. And the connection point here, y'all, is and what she didn't say before she got me on my get right early in our relationship was, it was just this really grounding statement of, okay, where is this going? Or where do we
Oh
want it
yeah,
to go? And starting with a clear understanding of what that destination is,
yeah.
right? That's that picture. That's that image. And again, don't be hard on yourself. This is progressive, not perfect.
Hmm.
So understanding that I see the thing and not being grounded or drawing a line to say, if it doesn't look like this, then I was a failure or this was a failure, is saying, okay, what's the shell of it look like, right? I like to
Hmm.
draw the stick figure or straw person, be like, okay, it's a person. Okay, got it. Long as we're grounded on the person, now what does the person look like along the way? And now understand that once I know the destination, then I could begin building a better understanding
Hmm.
of what that is supposed to look like along the way. And I love that Gepre is, again, not settled on her laurels of having a master's in curriculum and all her previous education. She's like, you know what? I know where he wants to go with this. And I also know where I want individually and professionally. And I know where to go attain these new skills, these development skills. And I love our work that we do with the local program. And we asking them about competencies. Do you know the knowledge, skills, and abilities
Hmm.
that this season of life is requiring of you? And if
Yeah.
you don't, you may not actually be keeping out in front of you the end in mind. Or
Mhm.
you just continue to just say, you know what, I'm as good as it's going to get, and I'm going to continue to show up. Well, all right, don't be surprised by the results you continue to get, and you're not seeing that, not knowing and not understanding or having a better understanding of
Mhm.
what that end looks like. You actually may be applying the wrong level of effort, or you actually may not even have the skill set to help your organization or you get there. What are
Right.
your thoughts on that, Japri?
Well, I wanted to kind of move forward because you were talking about how you see things. This second habit is also based on personal leadership. And so it's asking yourself, how do I define or how do I set the lens through which I see my life or I see life in general? And so one of the definitions that I pulled for personal leadership defines it as the ability to develop and utilize your positive leadership traits to guide and to guide the direction of your life instead of letting time and chance determine your course. Now, I pulled that from Google, and no shade, but it actually resonated with me. One thing that I would add, Google, is that not I no longer want to allow people to determine my course. And so there was a time within my career, I was always listening for the advice that others would give me instead of taking time to sit down and plan out my course, determine where I saw myself in my career. And so I wanted to just kind of ask you, Lawrence, how do you define personal leadership, hearing, Google's definition?
So personal leadership to me is having the ability to uh, be responsible and accountable to doing your work.
Mm-hmm.
And I like your example of, not listening. Like, we could listen to advice, right? I have mentors, I have
Mm-hmm.
coaches, I have all those other people. But then again, it's that understanding of where I'm going. And then you grounding yourself, that self leadership, that personal leadership to say, okay, you know what? Japri shared that with me. I hear her, I'll acknowledge it, but that doesn't make sense for where I'm currently at.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not totally discarding it, but saying acknowledged, thank you. And but saying, you know what, that's not information for me to use yet. And I use that yet because, again, personal leadership is saying, you know what, that may be good because that person, they're communicating with me from where they are. And it may
Mm-hmm.
be valid advice, it may be valid instruction from where they sit because of life, because of experience. But for you personally, and that's why as coaches, like, I'm really, really sensitive in coaching sessions to not give advice, to
Mm-hmm.
ask permission to offer something in a session so that a
Yeah.
client can say, like, okay, and here's the question I love to ask. what'd you hear me say? And what that connection point is like, okay, all right, based on my understanding, based on where I am in my life, they're going to respond based on how their current data sets are filtering that message. And so for
Mhm.
us personally, that is you having the ability to use what you currently have access to move you forward. And I love the other part. We can use people like Google. We can use people like Gepre. We can use people like Dr. Belinda White out there, the smart folks in our life to actually add understanding, and then we create a plan with that additional information. And so, but it starts with you. I like to tell my students at the beginning of the semester, we think about leadership and professional development. We lead from the inside out. And so
Mhm.
for you, it's having that grounding, it's having that foundation of, okay, where am I starting from? Begin with the end in mind, because I know where I'm going. And the end goal is here. And I'll listen with that filter that, okay, I know people want to support me along the way. So great question.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would say that it also helps to have a personal mission statement.
Hmm.
I like how Habit to brings this up, because as you're going through life, you you need to know what it is that you want to do, how you want to contribute to society or to your community. You know what things you would like to achieve, and so it's really based on your values and your principles. And so um, within business relationships, you really have to be strategic or careful about partnering with the right people, because those people may have different values from you, or they may have different principles that they're following, other than or outside of your values and principles. So be careful. That's what I'm learning, is to be careful with who I'm partnering with, and kind of get to know them so that I have a better understanding what is shaping their belief system, or why are they behaving a certain way, or what is their process behind arriving at this decision, or what is their reasoning behind an action that they're taking. And so a lot of times we have to be careful about partnering with people who have different core principles than ourselves. What do you think about that, or what has been your experience in that situation?
Yeah. My experience in that situation is it's good to have a diversity of thought, a diversity of creativity, innovation in spaces, because again, I believe that that is the keys to keeping teams fresh and moving in ways. But that core value, right? That vision, and the other part that I love how Covey and them describe that personal mission is having that constitution, that personal that grounding guide. And I know for me, when I first started Boss, I didn't originally write me into the mission,
Mm,
and because I wasn't clear on what my grounding values and principles connected to that vision of being that leading thought partner. And it wasn't until now, of course, like anything else, if anybody knows me, my values are an acronym. And so my values spell out RISE. And so for me, it's respect, integrity, service, and excellence. And in the rise of my values, I am supporting my clients by being that partner who can be on the cutting edge, but also being relevant and meaningful. And when they engage with me and my team, we should help them rise. And I'm filtering everything through those values. And you can't use them. You can't begin with the end in mind. If again, I'll say it 100 times, your values, your constitution, they are your foundation. And from
mhm,
your foundation, you grow roots there. And
mhm,
again, it's an evolving thing of your values as you get older and as you come into different understanding and relationship with people. And it's having that foundation. And me and Japri as a couple and as a relationship, we're constantly evolving in respect in the seasons of life. We're constantly integrity. What does that even mean to you? In engaging service, excellence. That means something totally different to me and her. It can mean excellence to her is making sure that I don't have three different piles of clothes on the floor in the bathroom. and making
Uh-oh.
sure if I'm going to have a pile of clothes, it needs to be one consolidated pile in the designated pile area. And so over the
Word.
last couple of days, I telling myself I haven't been excellent in the clothes pile business, but one of the things that I can be excellent is podcasting. So it's a trade off. Sometimes you just have to know what your trade offs are when you're beginning with the end in mind. Japri, what are your kind of core values that you filter things through that help you keep things in line?
Whew. Well, I would say family is at the top. Of course, God being my center. And then there's respect and love. And so my personal mission, it has changed over the course of years. And I'm really wanting to be more intentional in the way that I live, the way that I lead, and the way that I love myself and others. And within that, that means that I'm making better decisions about how I am growing spiritually, personally, and professionally, how I am intentionally seeking opportunities to serve others or teach. And then also that big component of love. If I don't love myself, how can I be good to anyone that I am in contact with whether it's my friend circle, my family circle, really having that self-care time, that time to me to grow, to just get replenished in order to be able to give to others without feeling like I'm being depleted or I'm giving out of lack or obligation. And so yeah, that's it for me. I don't even want to add anything else to it. It's just that simple, being
Yeah.
intentional.
Yeah, your value for family is strong, and anybody who knows it, don't say nothing about her family. Right, you better hope she don't hear you or she ain't within earshot. You might get something thrown at your head. So you better watch it. Better watch it. No, and that's the one thing that I love about working with Japri, and the reason why it was an easy decision to kind of coax her away and entice her away from her last organization to come work for the boss team full time is just how grounded she is and understanding one who she is and then how she desires to show up through those values. And again, as you think about what does it mean for you to begin with the end in mind, I want y'all to throw that in the comments. What would it look like for you to reestablish, or the thing that has been your guiding principle that's evolved over the years as it pertains to beginning with the end in mind? So please share with us. We would love to see those comments rolling through. But as we think about just the rest of 2023, beginning with
Mhm.
the end in mind, what are you really, really excited about that we're doing as an organization or that you're doing individually that speaks to how we are beginning with the end in mind?
Right now, I am working on building out e-courses for boss, and I'm really excited. It's a lot of hard work when it comes to coming up with like a strategic plan for determining what message we want to convey, and then how do we engage those learners within those online modules. And so I'm really excited about partnering with some team members and just really coming up with that plan, because you laid it out that you want that to be a part of a service that you can offer, and I'm happy to assist you with that. I'm all about writing lesson plans, and so I had to realize that I could translate those skills into instructional design or curriculum designing to support not just your business now, but our business, to help those who are in need of professional development or personal development because they're, for whatever reason, may not be receiving that type of support or learning within their organization. So really excited to kind of get that ball rolling and have some products ready that we can provide to our clients in the very near future.
I'm super pumped about that as well.
And
Uh,
get you off my back.
Oh, it's not that I'm not on it that much. Well, and it's funny you talk about that plan because there's, some quote I heard out there, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And
Mm,
for us, really having the right people on the team that helps us with that. And I would say
yeah.
beginning with the end in mind, one of the things that I'm super pumped about that's coming back to 2023 is our Connecting the Dots event. And those of you in the
Yes.
greater Atlanta area that were speakers or people that have flown or flown in, like Nick Dillon, who's in Dallas now, bro, Connecting the Dots is coming back at
Yes.
the end of April, and we're having the planning session for that today
Yeah.
to kick off, and we're bringing in some new team members to help that be even better in 2023 because the impact and again the mindset behind Connecting the Dots was really businesses and people who want to do community engagement well coming together without people brokering the relationship. So people really getting the needs met by able to partner well, by meeting other professionals in their spaces, whether it's HR, podcasting, and all the rest of those things. And it's funny, I run into people who were at the earlier Connecting the Dots events that actually started podcasts together that are still in connection with each other to this day. And a lot of amazing people have made business connections, personal connections, nonprofit connections, all the rest of those
Yeah.
things from those events that we had before the pandemic, had one virtual, but we're coming back to an in-person live event for Connecting the Dots. So I'm super pumped about that. And again, for us, the rise, not only helping myself rise, but helping everybody else connected to us rise through our values and connecting in a meaningful way. And
Yeah.
so, while we're winding down today,
Mhm.
any last remarks you have for people to keep them focused on the end in mind?
Um, just remember that this is the time to write it down. Um, Determine where it is that you want to end up. What is your end goal, and start making the beginning steps. You can't arrive unless you start moving. So determine what it is that you need to do now in order to arrive at that destination. So begin today.
You can't arrive if you don't start moving.
Did I say that?
Man,
Um,
I ain't saying nothing else. Y'all, so thank y'all so much for tuning in today for today's episode of Hot Takes, where we're always seeking to be humble, open, and transparent. And so excited to be able to do this with Gepre. But again, if you are a practitioner, coach, speaker, and you want to talk through a topic of leadership and development of your own, come on, let's create some audio magic. Direct message us, and we will make sure we will get you on the calendar to be here on one of these episodes. Until next time, folks, be
all
kind,
right.
be well to each other. We'll see you soon.
Bye bye.